Stars of Tarot by 7.
Today we're going to be performing a ritual involving the altar that we constructed in the last video. Some people would call this chaos magic.
So here I have gathered a lot of the herbs and crystals that are good to use during the Samhain season and good to use specifically for rituals that you do or spell work that you do to try to make contact with ancestors. So I've gathered all of this stuff here, but for my actual work I would put this on my altar, but I'm not going to put all of this lined up with all of the tags and stuff on the altar. I can have all that to the side and then do it when the time comes. But for right now we're going to do it here. I like using a plate for the candle because not only does it catch all the wax, it also makes it super easy to make a perfect ring of salt by just pushing the salt around to the edges of the rim. So for those of you that are a little OCD, that works fantastic. The herbs that are included: salt obviously for protection, mugwort is good for dreams and ancestor work, sage is it's good ritual opener. It kind of clears the air and is good for grounding. Tobacco, that's a typical offering. Bay leaves, they're good for Samhain divination, to write your wishes on or a message to the ancestors and burn the message. We do that all times a year too. Red sandalwood, you can also use white sandalwood. That's used to aid in focus and serenity and dialogue. We have damar resin for embracing a spiritual connection. Damar is a tree resin. Orris root, this brings peace to the departed. Some Solomon's seal root for wisdom, protection, and spiritual cleansing. This is benzoin resin. It's used to promote and enhance spiritual journeys, and it helps focus and astral travel.
Pumpkin seeds are fun because you write a message to your ancestors with questions, gratitude, or letting them know someone's okay. You write one a day and then you burn them on the full moon. Frankincense and myrrh are not just for the Christian holidays. They raise the energy of rituals and help connect with the spirit world. Myrrh heightens magical awareness of spiritual experiences and helps understand personal sorrow. Witch hazel aids in grief. Cinnamon invokes protection when dealing with past spirits. There are also crystals that are great for Samhain altars that enhance psychic abilities. They protect you from dark energies or negativity, and crystals that help with the thinning of the veil. They encourage messages from the spirit realm, or they enable messages to be sent. Some of the crystals include carnelian, which aids in the peaceful passing into death, black tourmaline for the protection and grounding, obsidian deflects negativity and aids in finding truth. Amber helps us connect with ancestral wisdom and enhances psychic abilities. Merlinite brings light into darkness and helps us with the releasing of shame and is helpful for connecting with ancestors. Jet amplifies the energy in rituals and spells and is very grounding. Smoky quartz opens the past to clarity and helps us connect with the ancestors and spirit guides. Labradorite is for psychic abilities and connecting with unseen realms. Now that you've gathered all of your items and you've made your circle of salt, you've meditated, and if you have certain deities that you call upon, you'd include them in your altar space too and invoke them now. Ring the bell to summon the spirits. For my purposes, for honoring and connecting with ancestors, I'd start out reciting something like this. On this night, when the veil between the living and the dead is thin, I honor the spirits of my ancestors and welcome you to join me for this night. Your blood runs through my veins, Your spirit and memories are in my heart. With the gift of remembrance, I remember each of you. You live on within me and within my children as I tell the tales. We're going to burn a lot of stuff. Some of this stuff smells good, some of it doesn't. And to keep from getting overwhelmed with smoke, we're going to open some windows. Definitely open some windows. The first thing I would start with is making an offering. You're asking the spirits for something, like you're asking them for guidance or wisdom, or you're asking for them just to hear you, or you're asking to communicate a message to them. So it's nice to give something in return to honor them. And so that's primarily why people like to give an offering. The ancient Sumerians liked to give offerings of rice and ale, and that was because they believed that if you didn't give offerings called libations to the dead, they would rise back up and they would haunt you. They would terrorize places. So it was really important for the next in line of kin would be the person who would give libations to the dead. And that was usually rice. So we can do some rice. Other traditions would use alcohol and tobacco. So we're going to use whiskey. So we're going to fill a little cup with some whiskey here. And some of this stuff can go up really fast, so I recommend really small amounts. And this candle's going to be a mess when you're all done with it. A good thing to start out with is sage. It just kind of clears the air and kind of sets the stage. So now we would just go through and add each of the herbs and say what it is that your intention is with the herbs. Like with the myrrh, I'd like my magical awareness and spiritual experience to be heightened, and I'd like to understand some of the sorrow that I have regarding certain relatives. And do leave some space between adding items, because you want to get the full effect of each thing that you add. You don't want to just pile it all on, but let this simmer for a while. Let the fragrance fill up the room, and then move on to the next thing and say what your intention is with that. If you'd like to focus on dialogue with the spirit world, add a little bit of red sandalwood. If you're struggling with grief, witch hazel. Also, I'd like to add, when you're displaying all of your herbs It's like, what do you put them in? So I have a lot of different examples of things that you could use. Like, I've got candle holders. I've got eye drop or eye bottles, these like saline in your eyes. Got little offering jars. We've got butter pats. Sometimes sake cups can be good. Also got over here with the Solomon seal, we've got a seashell. So we can add some Solomon seal. This is for protection and cleansing. And I'm adding these a lot faster than I normally would. You know, it's better just if you can just add them and stop and, you know, look into the eyes of your relatives and really listen and see if you can hear anything. You know, sometimes you're just, an idea will just come to you, or, you know, a thought will just burst into your head, but only if you're really still. And, you know, sometimes you might hear things like the tinkling of one of those bells. That actually happens a lot. And, but just be quiet, listen. This is a good time for scrying, if you have your scrying ball. And a good time if you wanted to ask specific questions, you could use the tarot. Like, I might actually just, you know, ask questions. What is it you want me to know? Or, you know, something. And I would flip the cards, lay them out in a pattern, lay them out in a spread, and see what kind of messages you can get from that. For bay leaves, writing a message on it to send out to the spirit world and then burning them. These things could go up really fast. If you're feeling like you might need a little protection in dealing with some of the past spirits, cinnamon is good for that. Mugwort is good for dreams and ancestral work. If you feel like maybe some of your ancestors could come to you in dreams. And this can go up really fast too. So this candle is going to be a mess when we're done, and that's okay. We're going to save all of the wax, we're going to save the ashes, the rice, the salt, everything, and we're going to use them in the bonfire that we're going to have later. We have some benzoin resin for astral journeys. Actually spiritual journeys. So when this is all burned down and you think the time is right, we're going to close the circle and we're going to thank the spirits, thank the ancestors, and ask them to return to where they came from. And then we blow everything out and close the circle, and we are done.
Like and subscribe, and you'll be notified each time a new video comes out. See you next time.